Hey guys, it's Jacob Schwartz. I'm here today in Los Angeles with Schwarzkopf. I'm gonna show you guys how to recreate this look, Velvet Blonde, that I did on Alex Cooper. Can't wait for you guys to see the step-by-step. I'm going to be customizing Alex Cooper's blonde formula to Nicole today. I'm going to use Vario Super Blonde Plus with 20 volume for the highlights on the scalp. And for the ends, I'm going to be using BLONDME with 30 volume. And I'm using a darker bowl and a lighter bowl. So the darker bowl will be the weaker formula and the lighter bowl will be the stronger formula. Okay, so 2 scoops. And then I'm going to use 20 volume. And 1 to 1. And I like to use a 20 or a 10 because the heat from the scalp really does help process the highlights and I don't want them to get too light. I'm a big fan of golden, so that's why I'll be keeping the formula a little bit on the weaker side. Because there isn't heat on the ends, I'm gonna use a stronger formula and BLONDME just has that extra kick that I need. The cool thing about BLONDME 9+ is that you can really be flexible and customize the ratio. So you could use 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 2.5, and that's why I love Schwarzkopf because you can pretty much make anything happen. And then I'm gonna be using 30 volume because I need that extra kick to make the ends pop. Okay, so I have my lightener ready and we're gonna get started foiling. She likes a lot of blonde on the bottom, so I'm kind of going underneath closer to the nape on Nicole's hairline and doing like thicker pieces of blonde, and then I'm gonna do like a heavier weave on the bottom so she has more of like a blonde impact. So I'm doing the diagonal back. I'm basically right now following her hairline, so a lot of people call it like diagonal back. I just basically go through and just follow where her hairline like kind of grows. Actually, on Alex, I darken her roots. So her roots they grow in lighter. So Nicole, her roots are basically exactly what Alex's roots are after I color them. So there's no need to darken Nicole's roots. Once these foils get really packed in, you guys, especially like in the back or like around the front, they start like conducting heat because the scalp from her head, it's just gonna like heat up the foils, right? So these foils down here, they don't have as much heat because they're not like on her scalp. So a lot of people run into like having orange ends or like piano keys, like stripes. So the way to avoid that is by using different formulas. And the great thing about Schwarzkopf is there's so many options. So I love Velvet Blonde for someone that wants to be really light, but doesn't want like a ton of maintenance and upkeep. So now that I'm taking the foil, there's a little touch of gold that I want to be gone, so I'm gonna let it sit for a little longer. Okay, I'm working backwards when I'm checking, so I go back to the first place I started, which was the nape, and I'll check the first foil we did. Needs a little bit more time. There's like a little bit of gold in there, and I want it to be slightly more neutral. So I'm gonna take these with a wet towel. This is a trick that we use. And I'm basically just gonna wipe the ends. The main thing that I care about with my clients is the integrity of their hair. I don't wanna damage or break off anyone's ends. All right, I'm working my way to the hairline. I'm mapping out where it goes, and I'm basically just gonna take the front of her hairline pretty thinly and use that as my guide, and that's gonna be my first foil in the front. And for this one, I'm really not gonna leave a ton of dropout hair. I'm gonna keep it almost like a slice. Basically, I might take out a couple hairs, but because I want it to be really bright. And these little brushes that Schwarzkopf have are amazing because you can fit in these little tiny places. And I'm doing the foils closer together so there's more of a blonde impact in the front. Okay, so here's a little tip. For Velvet Blonde and Alex Cooper, the concentration is the highlights around the nape of the hairline and the front hairline and the sides. So it's blonde basically like when the hair is back, when the hair is down, like you see a lot of the blonde where it matters, and then there's more depth on the top and inside her hair. Okay, now I finished highlighting and it's time to process, and there's no specific time that I'm leaving them on for, but I am checking every 2 to 5 minutes to make sure each foil is processing evenly. So we'll check back in when it's time for Vibrance. So the raw lift, you can see the streaks up here. I'm gonna use Vibrance to blend those. For Alex, I wanna say I use 9-1 in the front and then 8-1-1 on the roots. But today we're gonna use 9-1 and 9-0 in the front and 8-1-1 with a little bit of 8-0. So like 30, 8-1-1, 10, 8-0 with 6 volume. The ends, they look really good. I think I'm gonna leave the ends just like natural and bright. A lot of the times on Alex, I don't always tone her all over, so we're gonna do the same thing today. Now I'm gonna leave out the very front of her hairline here because I wanna save that for the very end. I don't wanna make this too dark, so I'm keeping it last because the hairline is finer and it grabs the hair color darker sometimes. So you can see here, like maybe in the front, I go like a little bit like closer, and then like see these two little streaky girls right here, these two? We're gonna just blend them down. And I might even blend these further down than this because I know when the hair splits and it like opens up, I don't want to see a white little string of highlight in the back. I want it to be soft. But if you have highlights closer to the front, that looks more natural. So this is where you can really detail it and customize it to your client. So you can see how I'm going shorter in the front, and then as I work my way to the back, I'm kind of feathering it. I don't want to create a hard line anywhere, so I'm just being really soft. Like I'll make a little bit of a guide like here, but then I'm really just taking my brush, and this Schwarzkopf brush is great because it has these bristles that are firm, but you also can feather with them. So I'm just feathering so there's no hard lines. When I'm mapping out the hairline, I can see where her hair parts, and like, now I know these are both gonna be like the moments in the front. Also, I put more blonde underneath, so I'm gonna probably drag the root a little further down underneath, so I don't want it to look, again, streaky. In the back, I'm going even further just to really blend out any lines. And I know that, like the way that I'm working now, like all the hair on top of the crown is gonna fall over the back. So I know that if I root this a little further, it's still gonna look perfect. It just gives me a little bit more security knowing that it's not gonna be super chunky or harsh. Last step is blending the hairline. I'm gonna use the 9-0, 9-1, just like ever so slightly, just right around the front. You can see here, just so there's no like foil marks around the hairline. She has a really nice hairline, so it's not like super important, but sometimes when you have a client that has like a really like wavy hairline or it's like really dark, sometimes it's hard to like follow the pattern, so you'll leave with like a little bit of like a foil like corner, and this is a good way to avoid that. Okay, this is my last step with Nicole. We put her Vibrance on the roots, and this is gonna sit for a few more minutes, and then we're gonna shampoo her, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. Okay, this is the finished result on Velvet Blonde. We did highlights to the scalp, and then we also did highlights on the bottom, painted with Vario Super Blonde Plus and BLONDME 9 Plus. She looks so beautiful. She hasn't seen it yet, and we're so excited to show her. Okay.
Oh my gosh,
so
it looks so good.
Pretty. You happy?
You killed it.
Thank you.
That looks amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, of course. Afterwards, we rinsed and blended the roots with Vibrance, and I used 8-0 and 8-1-1 on the roots and 9.0 and 9.1 on the front with 6 volume. I really want to see your guys' recreations of Velvet Blonde, so tag me on Instagram and TikTok as well as Schwarzkopf and leave comments, and we're happy to help, and we want to see your guys' amazing work.